Good afternoon and welcome to SAIT Newsfile. I'm Nathan Anderson. We have a busy day ahead of us on SAIT Newsfile today. Cole Fortner will have a look at sports later this half hour. But first, let's check in with Simone Charret with the weather.
Well, Nathan, today marks the International Earth Day, and I don't think we could have asked for any better weather. It is currently 18 degrees right now. As you can see, a mainly sunny sky. I have been on my patio all day. It is truly amazing right now. Last year, a high of 20 degrees, really similar temperature, way above seasonal average. Now, it does not beat the record high set in 1905, a high of 25 degrees. Now, in 1905, Alberta was just incorporated within Canada. The record low in 1927, minus 12 degrees. No thanks. Anyway, I'll be back with a full forecast later during the show. Back to you, Nathan.
Thanks, Simone. Now here's a look at today's top stories. The newest updates on the COVID-19 pandemic here in Alberta was released. The update showed that the number of total cases increased today by 306, making a total of 3,401. On top of that, unfortunately, there were another 5 deaths, making the total deaths in Alberta 66. On the upside, there was an increase in the number of people that have recovered, which is now a total of 3,710. The Alberta government announced today a new website called the Alberta Cares Connector. This is in part to help encourage and motivate people to donate and help out in every way they can and spread the message that no matter what position you may be in, you can receive or give help.
We are pleased in particular to launch an important tool to help Albertans help their neighbours. We are launching the Alberta Cares Connector, a new website created by the Volunteer Centre of Calgary in partnership with Alberta's government.
Alberta Health Services is adding an addition to its COVID-19 webpage by naming the locations of outbreaks in healthcare facilities throughout the province. The list includes zones throughout the province, with the Calgary zone having the most at 25. Outbreaks are declared when 4 weeks have passed with no new cases, and this means there definitely could still be more names to make the list. It is said as well that specific numbers at the sites will be provided soon, but the numbers are changing too rapidly to get them right now. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has promised a new emergency benefit for students whose education has been halted. He says a $1,250 monthly payment is coming for post-secondary students running through August to make up for lost income. The benefit can also increase to $1,750 for people with disabilities.
For a lot of students, the month of May normally marks the start of a summer job. But right now, it might be really tough to find something. You may have been looking for weeks without any success. So we're going to help. Our government is creating 76,000 jobs for young people, in addition to the Canada Summer Jobs Program.
Many of those students are, of course, renters, and a lot of them are facing rents due to no money to pay. The Alberta government has implemented an eviction ban for all renters, but that ban runs out at the end of the month. As Vincent Lavoie reports, many people are wondering what they're going to do.
We need to step up here in Alberta. We can't expect people to stay at home if they don't have a home to stay in.
When it comes to COVID-19 and renters, the situation gets difficult when it comes to paying rents.
Me and my roommates, I live with 4 other full-time students, we only budgeted enough money till our lease ends in May, and that's next month. And money was running tight, and now this pandemic happened, so I personally got laid off. My other roommates can't work because of COVID-19.
Thankfully, the roommates were able to strike a deal with their landlord for the next 2 months, but no one knows when things will get back to normal.
I live with 4 other full-time students, and as soon as our lease ends, everyone's going different places, but because of this pandemic, we don't know where we're going. Ideally, if we could stay in this house for longer, that'd be great, but without money, it's just not possible.
To give renters a break, Premier Jason Kenney announced an eviction ban to prevent people from being kicked out in a case they would not be able to pay their rent on time. But this ban has a deadline, April 30th.
Today is April 22nd, 8 days until the end of the month, and families who are struggling don't know where they stand. So today, We are calling on the UCP to extend the eviction ban that they put in place. They have the authority to do it by OIC, and they should do it at least till the end of July.
According to the NDP, Alberta was the last province to implement an eviction ban. The government also cut a rental assistance program in the last provincial budget, a cut worth of $44 million. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Vincent Lavoie.
The City of Calgary gave an update on how the city is handling the COVID-19 pandemic up to this point. Mayor Naheed Nenshi made it clear that we are not done with this pandemic and it can get worse. Chief Tom Sampson talked about how important self-isolation is as well, and that people can be ticketed if found outside of isolation, and each one of these tickets is $1,200.
We will be encouraging our bylaw services, who will be working in conjunction with the police services, to use ticketing as a last resort, and we'll be asking them to consider that. And you should know that they will only use it as a last resort.
A decision on the 2020 Stampede Classic will be released this week, stating if they will cancel it or not during this COVID-19 pandemic. The Stampede Board of Directors held a meeting Tuesday night to discuss if this year's Stampede will be canceled. If it is canceled, it will be the first time it's canceled since it became an annual event in 1923. Since then, it has avoided cancellation during the Second World War and the floodings of the Bow and Elbow Rivers in 2013. The cancellation for the event would take a financial toll as well, since the event brings around $400 million to local economy each year. COVID-19 has affected people around the world. What effect can it have on our furry friends? Logan Stein reports on the research being done to see if people can transmit the virus to their pets.
It's so cute.
Who doesn't love a friendly cat? Unless you're allergic, it's hard not to love them. Despite how adorable they may be, they are not immune to COVID-19. There are no confirmed cases of someone's pet infecting them with COVID, but it is possible for someone to infect their pet.
Cameron, this is Turnip. Like, I have 2 cats, so for me, I don't take them outside. And they're always in the house, so I know where they've been and I know what they've been in contact with. It's whatever I've brought into the house. And so it's just become a matter of what I'm responsible for bringing into my home.
That's one thing he will let us
do.
For
local veterinarians, there isn't much concern at this time.
It's nice when they're clear like that.
I think the biggest misinformation has been about the cats. And, after the tiger at the Bronx Zoo got it, there was a lot of concern that, if cats have respiratory disease, we shouldn't be seeing them and things like that. And I don't think that's the case, and especially, depending on where you are. If you're in New York, you might want to be a little bit more careful. Here in southern Alberta, where we don't have a lot of cases, it's less of a concern.
Studies have shown that cats can spread coronaviruses to other cats, while dogs have a much stronger immunity to these kind of viruses.
Despite these ongoing studies, pet owners are not too worried. During this time, pets provide a lot of comfort and support for their owners.
One thing that I think is hardest for a lot of people about COVID and having to self-isolate is a lot of people feel lonely, and a lot of people, this is a very tough time for people that struggle with mental health issues. And pets are comfort. Pets are stress relievers, as you can see. Look how chill, right? It's just, I can't imagine not having my pets with me.
For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Logan Stein.
YouthLink is now linking up with the Calgary Police Service and going virtual to support families, youth, and teachers. Teachers registered more than 7,000 students in just 6 minutes for the 2019-2020 school year. It will give kids at home projects they can do in forensics to give them a little more learning in the world of criminology. Right now, there are programs such as Cabin Fever Forensics, Crime Prevention Starter Kits, Artifact Detective, Behind the Line, and apparently many more to come in the future as well. With COVID-19 pandemic, many retail outlets are closed and many food services are having to operate through takeout operations. Many Calgarians are helping businesses, however, by donating and pitching in, making it more available for them to provide their services. Hand sanitizer is in short supply, and local distilleries and breweries have successfully pivoted their facilities to a new line of production making different supplies. Another example is the Leftovers Foundation, which receives excess food from restaurant suppliers and gives it out to the less fortunate. The University of Lethbridge is making cuts to programs. Perhaps most notable is the departure of the Pronghorns hockey program. The cancellation affects much more than just the athletes. Things such as concession workers, 50-50 workers, and game day staff will now all be forced to find other work during this difficult time. Ryder McKay reports on the impact of the cuts have made at the U of L students and what that can mean to all students in our province.
The effects of COVID-19 have now gone so far beyond health. In many ways, the virus has begun to change our world. The University of Lethbridge has announced major budget cuts to programs and ending one of the school's proudest traditions, the Pronghorns hockey teams. U of L student Silas Giesbrecht is uncertain about where things are headed and is worried for much more than just the athletes.
It's not just the people playing actual sports, such as the hockey, that are going to be affected, but it's also people that are involved in employment indirectly because of sports teams, such as like concession workers and so on. So I'm just hoping for some maybe more transparency from the university.
Now that the Pronghorns are gone, that may spur other institutions to look at cutting sports teams to save money. Students like Jess Maloney at MRU aren't too sure what this could mean.
Yeah, it's tough since a lot of it is out of our control as students. However, I wouldn't be shocked if these cuts aren't just affected in Lethbridge, but everywhere else, including MRU.
The cuts at U of L may be just the start. The University of Alberta, for example, has announced it has no plans currently to cut teams this fall. However, with budgets changing, there are sure to be some things moving all the time. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Ryder McKay.
The tourism and travel industry has been one of the hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. With border closed to non-essential travel, tourists have had to put their trips on hold. Darren Bain has been covering this story for us. Darren, it's a weird time to be wanting to get away.
That's right, Nathan. The pandemic has been hard on both consumers and travel agencies. Ken Bain and his wife were supposed to be in Hawaii last week, a trip they had been planning for months. Once the COVID-19 pandemic closed international borders, they had to cancel the trip and deal with canceling flights, hotels, as well as car rental, but found out a refund wasn't in the cards.
We have got a credit from the airlines that we were supposed to go on. We did get a travel credit voucher, so to speak, from the resort where we were supposed to stay. We're still awaiting confirmation on our rental car.
Many consumers are getting vouchers for what they've had to cancel, but most of them are only good for the next 2 years. Some consumers may not be able to use those vouchers within the next 2 years and would rather have a full refund.
So we're dealing with a lot of unhappy people who don't like this situation, who would prefer to have a full refund, especially when you get older clientele. I've got people who are in their 70s and they say, I don't know if I'll be able to travel next year or the year after.
Because only essential travel is currently permitted between international borders, the industry has been hit hard, but Cater thinks it will bounce back in a big way.
I think what will happen as well, there's going to be a pent-up demand because really people don't like being stuck at home and people like to travel, they like to get out. And after this isolation, I think we're all going to be itching to do that.
It's impossible to tell just when we'll be able to travel around the world again. Luckily for us here in Canada, summer is coming soon, and we'll be able to pretend our backyards are tropical paradises.
Thanks, Darren. Chill out. Those are today's top stories. We have sports and entertainment news ahead, as well as your full weather forecast. Stay with us.
The temperature is finally warm and winter is over, meaning it is the ideal weather to go take a walk. Make sure you stay 2 meters away from anyone. This evening at 7, make some noise for our frontline healthcare workers who tirelessly work to eradicate the virus and keep us safe. What typically rhymes with spring is spring cleaning. Now that winter is finally over, why not detach your old storage room and clean your couch? There's always a few bills to be found between the cushions. Now is the time to watch that one series you always wanted to watch but never had the time. The #1 trending series in Canada is Tiger King. Go take a look and let us know what you think happened to Carol Baskin's late husband. Last but not least, if arguing with yourself in the shower is getting old, what about taking a bubble bath, take online yoga lesson, or put on a face mask? Do what feels right, and remember, stay safe. Welcome back. As I mentioned on the top of the show, today marks the International Earth Day, so let's see how the country is doing right now. On the west coast, like usual, it is raining in Vancouver. It will probably never change. The hotspot is in Edmonton with a warm 18 degrees. We really can feel that warm front coming from the south, from the state of Montana, going north and then pushing west. However, as we go east, it is a total opposite. The place to be is in Toronto with a mainly sunny sky. It is a chilly 1 degree in Montreal and raining in Halifax. Eastern Canada is plagued with a cold front and a low-pressure system bringing unstable conditions. Normally I would tease my relatives in Quebec, but with the self-isolation mandate, they might actually have the bigger end of the stick as they have no incentive to go outside. And for those of you who are in exile for the well-being of the realm, meaning you cannot come back to the country due to COVID-19, let's take a look at the resorts. As expected, it is warm everywhere with the exception of Barbados with a mild and cloudy 17 degrees. The hotspot is in Vegas with a sunny 31 degrees. You could work on your tan unlike the rest of us. Mickey and his friends are currently self-isolating at Magic Kingdom at a nice 30 degrees. It is a really warm day in Calgary, 18 degrees as I mentioned, with a small breeze coming from the southwest at 10 kilometers an hour. The sky is slowly getting more cloudy, but it should clear up later this week. The entire province is subjected to that warm front, meaning temperature is above the seasonal average by about 5 degrees. We can also see on the map where the high pressure system ends in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, where it is really sunny. Do not forget that sunscreen. You'll want to avoid Banff, where not only it is raining, it is also the chilliest place of the province. We have a small break from showers in Grand Prairie and Edmonton, but as we go north, it starts again in Fort Mac. And now, let's take a look at the 5-day forecast, shall we? Temperature will only go up starting tomorrow. It will be a great end of the week, with the exception of tomorrow night with some rain. We can expect a sunny sky on Saturday and temperature to rise until Sunday. And that's the weather. After the break, Cole Fortner will explain the WHL draft for you. Stay tuned.
I had it so good. I had my own car, great grades, everything in my life was going great till I ruined it all. Little did I know, this would be my greatest mistake. Drunk driving. Lawyer fees, disappointed parents, lost car. If only I listened.
Hey, you aren't good to drive home.
Friends don't let friends drink and drive.
Come and learn the breaking world of broadcast news. Find your passion to investigate, write, shoot, edit, and deliver the stories of the day. SAIT's broadcast news program teaches you everything you need to know for a career in radio and television. Become the next great anchor, reporter, or personality using industry standard technology alongside qualified instructors with years of experience. This is broadcast news. Come and dare to be on air.
Welcome back to SAIT Newsfile. Here's a look at what's happening in today's sports. The 2020 WHL Bantam draft pick happened today. The Calgary Hitmen were looking to add some depth to their roster after captain Mark Kastelik signed with the Ottawa Senators. With the 12th pick in the draft, the Hitmen selected forward Oliver Tolk of the Delta Hockey Academy. The Gibson, BC native put up 27 goals and 69 points in his most recent season with the Delta Wild. It has been one of the NHL's hottest asked questions over the last year. Can Alex Ovechkin surpass Wayne Gretzky as the NHL's all-time goal-scoring leader? That question still remains up in the air for now as the NHL season remains in a state of limbo due to COVID-19. One of the questions that can and will be answered shortly is who is better at NHL 20. Starting at 6 Mountain Time on the Washington Capitals Twitch channel, Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin will go head-to-head in a best-of-3 video game series. While it'll all be fun and games for the pair, they will also be donating money to the Washington Food Bank and MSE Foundation's Feeding the Front Lines Fund. Nearly a year after the Canadian Women's Hockey League folded and raised many concerns for athletes surrounding the sport, professional women's hockey is set to make a return to Canada. The National Women's Hockey League announced this morning their plans to add an expansion team to Toronto, one of the 6 cities who lost their team. While it is a big milestone for women's hockey, it is unlikely the new team will be able to draw Canadian or American national players, as many of them helped to create the Professional Women's Players Association with a goal of creating a singular unified league. As summer moves in, varsity athletes are getting concerned if they'll have a season come this August. The University of Calgary field hockey team is starting to question the ability of gameplay if the pandemic were to continue past June. Hannah Lepine reports on how the team has altered its summer training thus far and how they plan to tackle these unprecedented times.
Canada's other hockey has also been put on pause amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Professional and amateur field hockey teams from around the world are wondering if they'll even get their summer season at all. As leagues debate postponing the start of the season, many University of Calgary Dinos players are concerned. If they don't get to play this summer, there's no chance of play in our Calgary winters.
There's a lot of the sports, like if they were a fall semester, they could, or a fall season, they could switch into a winter season, but because it gets so snowy and cold in Calgary, we physically couldn't do that. And it would just be too hard to work it out and try to get indoor turf.
Despite the possibility of not playing at all, the Dinos are still going about their spring training, just in a very different way. Smith said it's come down to more physical and technical work individually, as UFC won't consider opening their turf until mid-July. She added the difficulty of getting into a home workout groove with little to none gym equipment.
So this cut into the end of my strength program, and it's cut into the beginning of my endurance program. So I've been running almost every day, and I've been doing home workouts to the best I can, but it's just different because I can't lift the same volume and I can't lift the same weight, and I can't do the same exercises with dumbbells as I could in a gym.
Smith says this could really hurt the team in the beginning, as their endurance levels won't be in tip-top shape come their first game. It's an unsure time for the whole team, but especially the girls who are from out of town. If the pandemic were to lift, they may struggle to find last-minute summer housing, as well as afford it. Despite the team's trip to Holland falling through this July, the Dinos are hoping that they'll get back on the turf very soon. For now, they remain at home, trying to stay healthy, positive, and fit. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Hannah Lepine.
Tennis star Roger Federer has raised the idea of merging the men's and women's tennis tours. Federer took to Twitter with the question, "Am I the only one thinking that now is the time for men's and women's tennis to be united and come together as one?" Following the tweet, the 20-time Grand Slam champion received a large number of backlash. Federer added that he wasn't talking about merging the competition on the courts, rather just the two governing bodies, as the ATP and the WTA use different ranking systems, logos, websites, and tournament categories. Just a couple days after the new star of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was caught working out on a park that was closed for coronavirus concerns, that star was informed that he would be joined by his former Patriots teammate in Tampa Bay. With a year left in his contract, Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski was traded to the Buccaneers, allowing him to finish out his NFL contract with the hopes of winning another Super Bowl. In the move, the Patriots sent Gronkowski and a 7th-round draft pick in exchange for a 4th-round draft pick. That's a look at sports.
Thanks, Cole. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers are all having to work from home because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The different late-night shows are managing to get every show done and done well. For this week's entertainment update, Connor Gunn joins us live. Connor, what are these show hosts having to do from home?
Well, Nathan, the shows have certainly changed because of this time, and some hosts are getting very creative, and some might be taking the easy way out.
Jimmy Kimmel Live. This is ridiculous. From his house.
Hello there, I'm Jimmy. I'm your host, and if you'll let me be your online Pilates instructor too,
All late-night show hosts are having to adapt and continually change their template through this time of uncertainty. Hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Stephen Colbert are all having to generate ideas and different doable topics to talk about almost every night. Each host is pre-recording each segment, and a lot of segments are quite similar to what they normally do. Jimmy Kimmel is still interviewing fan favorites.
Macaroni and cheese, lots of, ramen, things like that.
What? Sorry, I didn't. What?
I do have enough toilet paper.
I didn't ask about toilet paper. Seth, can you hear me? Seth?
Yo, hey, how's it going?
Setting up an entire studio from home in the time we had wasn't quite possible. But through this, we see that technology is advancing more and more, making a celebrity talk show from inside your living room a real possibility. Jerry-rigged home studios are becoming the new normal to popular show stars, and this pandemic is looking like a test of wit as well as technological skills. It's making out to be a nice showing of character and innovation. Seeing these shows constructed from home is nice to see, and they're well made, but they're no SAIT Newsfile. Nathan?
Thanks, Connor. We'll have another entertainment update for you tomorrow. Still ahead on SAIT Newsfile, one Alberta high school is taking social media to a new level. Stay with us.
How does this dog look to you? Or this kitten? They're happy, and yet they're homeless, staying with another family until they find you. ARF has helped give over 2,500 animals forever homes. Why not be the next? Help us help them. You rescue, I rescue. ARF. Caring for those in need.
Come and learn the breaking world of broadcast news. Find your passion to investigate, write, shoot, edit, and deliver the stories of the day. SAIT's broadcast news program teaches you everything you need to know for a career in radio and television. Become the next great anchor, reporter, or personality using industry standard technology alongside qualified instructors with years of experience. This is broadcast news. Come and dare to be on air.
Social interactions between students and teachers has got one school thinking on how to change that. James Dunn reports on the ways that teachers and staff have adapted in order to make sure students don't feel alone.
No, I'm good.
This isn't what you would normally see on a high school Instagram page.
If it hadn't been for my daughter with her TikTok, I don't know that I would have even thought of doing something like that.
But the current situation in Alberta and the rest of the world isn't normal either. While classes are moved out of the classroom and into an online environment, students are looking for ways to stay connected to their fellow classmates and their teachers.
We didn't have our most precious resource in front of us anymore. We had to go where they are, and we knew that.
Hunting Hills High School in Red Deer is taking social media to a whole new level. Teachers on video issuing challenges and 20-second videos called Wash and Learn that show a teacher doing what they know best.
It gives the students also something else to talk about on their own social media platforms. Like, did you see Mr. Owen showing how to cut metal? Or did you see Mrs. Martinick demonstrate the dance step? Did you see the phys ed teachers dressed as Hans and Franz?
Welcome to the Lightning Loft. We are here with Hans and Franz today. I am Hans. And I am Franz. And we're here to pop. You are.
For the teachers who aren't so tech savvy, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities to connect with their students.
Teachers are always trying to connect with their students and try to find a common ground and something that you're interested in. And I think social media is just a way that we can continue to try to connect with our students, even though we don't get to see them every day.
Well, it's not yet clear on when students will return to the classroom, either this school year or the next one. Hunting Hills will continue to break away from tradition to stay connected with, as Vice Principal Irvin says, their clients, the students. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm James Dunn.
There has been a newfound appreciation for healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. One tradition began in Italy is now making its way into Canada. At 7 p.m. every night, Calgarians can go to their front porches with their pots and pans and make as much noise as possible. Calgary Police and Fire also started Lights of Hope, where officers and firefighters parade to hospitals with their lights and sirens on full blast to thank those on the front lines. Thank you for joining us for our virtual edition of SAIT Newsfile, and we'll see you next time.